I have always been kind of fascinated by like vintage homewares. Maybe it's the 90s baby in me and growing up where like everything was plastic, but from a young age I feel like I was always super interested in, homewares from another era. I especially love when I'm digging through like an antique store or a thrift store and I come across something like old and vintage and I realize it has like a really useful function too. I just think that's like, those are my favorite things. So I am always keeping my eye out for that next like lovely vintage piece that also has like an incredibly useful purpose that I can incorporate into our home. So I thought today it would be fun to take you through some of my personal favorites that I've picked up over the years and just show you some of these do have modern counterparts. However, I personally feel that these vintage versions are just a little bit better. And if you're new here, hello, I am Josie. I share home decor, DIYs, thrifting, and some of the behind the scenes of our own home renovations. But today we are talking about vintage, so let's get to it. The first thing I'm going to show you definitely has modern counterparts. However, I think my vintage version is so much better and just prettier. And that is this Lazy Susan. It is both a Lazy Susan and it's a actual cake stand too. And that's what I love about it, is that it's both beautiful and incredibly useful. I found it at an estate sale a couple years ago, and I honestly don't know how I lived without it for so long, because especially when it comes to decorating and serving a cake, it really is like such a lifesaver because it's beautiful. So I can make a cake, like fully decorate it, and I can, turn it and easily get to all the nooks and crannies on it. But then I can also just serve it right on here. I don't need to move anybody. Like, this is the perfect place for everything. In fact, this past winter, I was experimenting with making gingerbread houses for kind of the first time. And this was so useful to just set up my gingerbread houses right on top of here. I could easily decorate them, like turn it, get all of the angles. But then once I was done, I felt great just not having to worry about like moving a very, fragile gingerbread house. And I left it set up all through the holiday season, and it looked beautiful, but it was also so functional. And like I said before, there is definitely modern versions of Lazy Susans. There's plenty out there, but I feel like most of the ones that I see nowadays are like all plastic and they just don't have quite the same, charm about them. I love the like wood finish on this one. I just think it's so cute. And sometimes it's just those simple designs that are honestly so useful, and that is what this is for me. If you've ever tried to create a little flower arrangement and you got it just so, but then as soon as you walked away, everybody moved and the entire arrangement looked completely different, then I feel like you need one of these. This is a flower frog with a matching vase. You can see how the actual flower frog has all of these holes in it. And so those are simply just where you stick the stems of your flowers, and it holds them in place so they don't move around on you, which I think is just like such a smart little idea. And I adore how this one has its own matching vase, and this is such a pretty little piece. From what I can tell, I'm certainly no expert, but I believe it's a 1930s anchor hawking Depression era pink glass vase with flower frog. Now, once again, this is definitely something that you can get a modern version of. There's actually slightly different versions than this. Instead of the holes, you can definitely get the kinds that actually have like little spikes, and they're still called flower frogs, and they'll hold your stems, like you put your stems in them. Which the benefit to those is that they can hold much bigger flowers. Whereas my only downside to this one is that the holes are only so big, so I can only fit certain size flower stems, and I can only fit so many together in each little, pocket. So some of those flower frogs can be really useful if you have bigger, thicker stemmed flowers, and those usually sit at the bottom of a vase that you already have. So that's a little bit different too. But like I said, I just personally love this vintage one. I just think it's almost like its own little work of art. It is so lovely. Once again, I am well aware that there are many modern versions of this that exist. However, I can say with my own experience that I have never found one that holds a candle to this. This is my 3-tiered cake saver, also known as a cake carrier. So at this point, our extended family has gotten fairly large. And so especially around the holidays, when we have big get-togethers, I have often found that I have a few too many things to bring, and I just go a little bit crazy trying to figure out how to get them all to the party safely without anything getting completely ruined in the car. And that's where this comes in. Now, I do have a modern cake carrier. However, it broke within like a month of me getting it. I am not even kidding you. It still technically works, but one of the clips broke almost immediately. So I don't totally trust it for sure. Plus, even though that modern one does get fairly large, it basically can only hold either cupcakes or cake, and that's about it. So you can only carry so much in it, but oftentimes I have multiple different things to transport all at once. So this one is such a saver, and I will show you why. These little clips open up and release the little handle. And then we've got the top tier. This is perfect for cupcakes, cookies, even a pie. I can fit a full-size pie here as long as it's not a deep dish, regular size pie. Then this second tier comes off. So because it has a lot more room, this tier is perfect for holding like a full-size cake. Obviously another pie, a deep dish pie, you could put all different sorts of things, but it's great because it gives you a little bit more room and you can fit like basically a full-size cake in here. And then even this opens up to a third tier. And this once again will hold a regular size pie, cookies, whatever you need it to. So I have 3 full layers that I can nestle things into, which is so great because oftentimes I make at least 2 pies, if not 3, to go to a family function, and sometimes also cupcakes or cookies or whatever else comes to mind when I'm baking. But with this, I can fit quite a bit, like in a more compact space versus any of the modern cake carriers that I have owned before. And I just love the smart little design of the handle and how it kind of clips everybody together. Now, obviously it is a handle. You can technically pick it up, and when it's empty, I certainly use the handle. However, it obviously gets quite heavy when it's completely full. So I always carry it from the bottom when I actually have lots of stuff in it because I don't take chances. So my husband actually got me this off of eBay last year after I was really struggling during the holidays to transport everything, and he saw that and he knows I love vintage, and so he went in search of something to solve my problems, and he gets like a 20 out of 10 for this purchase because it is officially one of my most favorite things that I own. Now, if you're searching for one, you can definitely find them on eBay as well as places like Etsy, but you can also take a picture of it into your local antique store and maybe they have one on hand. But even if not, most local antique store owners are more than happy to try to like track one down for you. Plus, then you get to support a local business. So if you're on the hunt for one, I would definitely recommend, checking local first. And if not, then eBay and Etsy almost always have a couple available. I would love to hear about your own favorite functional vintage homeware, something that you use like maybe all of the time, maybe just occasionally, but like whenever you use it, it just brings you so much joy. Like definitely let me know below if you have anything that you just love that is old, but also still functional. If you are new to my channel, I would love it if you would check out some of my other videos, but either way, I hope you are having a lovely day and I will see you next time.